Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up with Darren Collins today. He's the CFO at Bald Eagle Gold Corp, a new entrant onto the TSX. They are hunting for gold down in Nevada, and Darren tells us about the process that they've been through to this point and some of the catalysts which we can expect to see going forward. So if you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation, do join us on cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. There are commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities, including gold. We've got training courses to help you with your diligence process, and we've done summaries of all the interviews that we've done just to save you some time because we know you're busy. And if you want to join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly and safe environment, free from judgment, trolling and abuse, you can join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. I think you'll really like that one. And we love your feedback too, so do give us a like. It'd be appreciated. Leave your thoughts below. We'll get back to everyone. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Darren, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Magnificent, magnificent. Well, thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from?
Actually joining from this side of the pond, currently in Latin America, heading back north when the world sorts itself out a little bit, but in the beautiful continent of Latin America right now.
Fantastic. Whereabouts? What are you doing? I'm liking it. I'm jealous. Where are you hiding out?
Beautiful country of Colombia specifically. And just a little background, my business partners and I started a company down here that we financed with, over $100 million. Chiron Life Science built it into a preeminent company in Latin America. And, this has been home base for the last year or so.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And what was Chiron? What did that do?
Chiron, so actually, our core roots, my business partners and I, although we'll talk about Bald Eagle here in a moment, is a company that's been a culmination of relationships over decades, and our core activity has been historically in resources. But when the resource market took a bit of a hiatus for a number of years, as we're all aware, we actually started a medical cannabis company in the country of Colombia. It was the very first company to receive licenses to cultivate. We've built that into a preeminent Latin American cannabis company across multiple jurisdictions, raised over $100 million for it, brought it to a peak market cap of $500 million. So that's where my activity started in this part of the world. And as the world sorts itself out, this is home base for the time being.
Okay, tell me you got out at the right time. That's all I want to hear. That was a ride. That was a heck of a ride. Those cannabis companies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. You're right. We're here to talk about Bald Eagle Gold. You guys went public, last Wednesday?
That's correct, sir. Yes, we did. And,
right.
Since then, we've traded about 1.8 million shares. So we're building in the volume. We're trading at about issue. So fair to say, based on the track record of our team and our confidence in working with one another, we see a lot of room to grow here as we develop out the assets we have and then add additional assets into the portfolio.
Fantastic. Looking forward to hearing about it. Right. Why don't you kick off, give us a 1-minute overview of what the company is or what you want it to be, and then I'll pick it up with some questions from there.
Excellent. So what the company is, a group of business professionals that have worked together over, again, decades. We've raised billions of dollars collectively for resource projects internationally, so both North America, Latin America, Africa. So we've been an active group of partners, and we all know each other very well in bringing together this company. We looked at the landscape of where we believe the opportunities are going to be in a market context and looked at the current economic environment and the amount of stimulus coming in, infrastructure, massive infrastructure spending being planned, again, referring to the US here, and say that there is a very strong thesis that we're going to have significant amount of inflation come into the system, and no better place to position within that context than exposure to gold and precious metals, broadly speaking, as well as other metals have done here as well. So it's about positioning to where we believe that the market is going, and that's what we're doing with Bald Eagle, with a core solid team that's worked together in place. The idea is that we're evaluating assets, selecting assets and transacting on assets that have had some degree of historical work done. We're interested in, projects that are quasi brownfield and really reinterpreting the historic work that's been done, coming up with a geologic model and then ultimately advancing that project with a technical plan in order to deliver results to stakeholders, and in this case specifically shareholders in the context of this discussion. So it's, again, reevaluating data, coming up with the geologic model, and then testing that model where we have a high degree of confidence in being able to generate positive results for the market.
Okay. Precious metal market's fallen off the last 3 months or so, 4 months or so, one could argue. It's a difficult time to come to market. I mean, did you consider delaying it, or is it a case of let's just get on with it, it will recover? Is your thesis sound?
Well, on the basis of the capital we raised as part of the go public process, there was definitely support for the concept of this company and for our team, broadly speaking. We've made a lot of money for investors in the past. We've been involved with companies that have, generated upwards of $1 billion market caps. So really, we have a lot of confidence in our core investment group that has supported us on this company. Markets ebb and flow. Nothing goes straight up in a linear fashion, but we look at things on the basis of an overall economic thesis and positioning within industries that we believe align with that. So although, resources and gold, is been a little bit soft here for the last number of months, we certainly envision that trend reversing as you look at events transpiring. For instance, the U.S. government proposing $3 trillion worth of infrastructure spending, the $1.9 trillion worth of COVID relief that was just put through. So we see this amount of capital essentially being injected into the system, and believe that's going to result in a significant inflationary environment. You're seeing a lot of major financial news outlets pointing to this very much being on the horizon. So we're not necessarily positioning for today. We're positioning for tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now, where we believe this is a great place to be.
Okay, so that's the thesis. If I look at your track record, you've got UNX Energy, oil and gas. I see potash. I've got Namaste Technologies. I've got Kirin Life Sciences. Obviously cannabis. I'm not seeing much mining or gold on there. So tell me about the team. I want to know, the thesis is one thing, being able to identify and develop projects is another. So tell me about you. What's your background?
So my background personally, and I can talk about some other team members as well in our experience specifically within resources. My background is a capital markets professional. I have approximately 15 years of experience. I started with a group in Toronto called Quest Capital that is currently Sprott Resource Lending Corp, one of the preeminent financial groups in the resource sector globally, and really cultivated relationships when I commenced my career at that firm, again doing corporate finance work, and have advanced those relationships across multiple projects, financings, M&A transactions, etc. I also actually, as I mentioned to you, did a stint in the UK. I worked for a mid-market investment bank there, again doing resource work, and thereafter came back to this side of the pond and became engaged in a number of entrepreneurial initiatives. Some of the companies you've outlined that investors did particularly well on. My other business partners on the financial side, Sydney Himmel, who actually has a very strong technical background as well over many years of working in the resource space. Just a wonderful individual. I trust, I respect him. He is dedicated. He is focused. He is intelligent, and really a great part of our team as CEO and president. Again, I've worked with him for 15 years, so really the extent of my career. Also, we have Mark Smethurst, who is our senior geologist, is really a very hands-on geologist in the context of coming onto a property, looking at the work that's historically been done, putting together geologic models specifically on epithermal projects is his area of expertise, and then advancing those concepts. The last company he was involved with on really the basis of his work and fundamental value creation went from 10 cents a share to 80 cents a share. And when he had moved on from that company and was looking for a group to join, he really likes the asset that we have in Nevada. He was very excited about it and very happy to align with the group with, our financial capabilities and background. So that really lines up the core executive team. Our technical consultants, we have a great group of people there that are advising us on, the exploration and development programs, the geophysics. They've built mines, they've operated mines. So really a core group of, technical people that we're working with that have a significant amount of experience to augment the, financial and capital markets background that we bring to the table. In addition, our board of directors, Marc-Andre Lavoie, has just successfully raised over the number of years $100 million as a director for BlackRock Metals. That is a iron ore project in the province of Quebec, Canada. That is a strategic project for the Quebec government, and they're in the process of raising the construction financing upwards of $1 billion. So a lot of experience at the board level in terms of taking project from concept through to now construction financing. As a private company, nonetheless, they've done it all private. Peter Simeon is a highly experienced securities lawyer, is absolute pleasure to work with, very well connected in capital markets and an expert on M&A transactions, corporate finance, corporate governance, done a lot of work in the resource space over the course of his career. And then the other board member is Ray Harari from, very prominent Latin American family investor, entrepreneur.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that. How much money did you raise recently?
We were at 2.5 at 12 cents with half warrant at 20 as part of the go public process.
And before that, how much did you guys put into the company?
We had before that a $3.5 million round into the private. That was at 25 cents. So the weighted average value of our float here, 40% of the capital structure is float. The other 60% is locked up. But the value of that float is approximately on a weighted average basis about 15 cents.
Right. Okay. So tell me, with that amount of capital, how do you, another exploration startup business, stand out from the crowd? So tell me, I'm interested in the business plan that you are trying to put together and the strategy for delivering that.
Well, we are a junior exploration and development company. So suffice it to say, there will be additional capital required. There's no secret there. But with the capital that we have on hand, and with what we anticipate being some excellent results out of our work that we're doing here in Nevada, we get ourselves through some pretty significant milestones here. So that'll, in our mind, create value as we're bringing in additional assets to the corporation, given our transactional backgrounds collectively across the team, that we feel will propel our liquidity and ultimately our share price to a level where when we have to take additional capital, we'll be opportune about that. But we'll obviously look to do at levels that are higher right now. So we're financed through some pretty substantial initial milestones here.
Well, let's talk about that. You've identified Nevada. Your asset's called Hot Springs, as I understand it. So what do you already know before you went public? And what do we need to know about the way that you're going to develop that asset out or continue to explore that asset?
So I'll talk about the asset first, and then I'll talk about the programs and news flows it relates to that asset. So we are in the Hot Springs mountain range, which is directly west of the Osgood mountain range. The Osgood mountain range hosting Turquoise Ridge Mine, which is a joint venture between Barrick and Newmont, two of the leading mining companies in the world. The mountain ranges are very similar in geologic age and composition. And, really, we have a significant number of fractures across the property and are using geophysics to correlate to sulfides in the fractures, predominantly pyrite and chalcopyrite. We also, in the historic work done in our sampling from surface, have a significant amount of what we believe is mineralization that we're targeting here, again correlating to the geophysics, and we're testing those structures here with the drill program. There's also a significant amount of arsenic and mercury that we're picking up on the samples, which is generally a great indication that there's an epithermal system present within the property boundaries. And that's really what we're looking to build out here, is that geologic theory that, there's a large epithermal system that is, economic for production ultimately. There's a number of other epithermal style deposits within the vicinity of the project, so we have a high degree of confidence that we could have something substantial here. The property's never been drilled below 200 meters, so the historic work that's been done gives us a great guide, in addition to the geophysics, where we're using the geophysics to tie in the deep structures with the historic work that's been done at surface and layering ourselves in to the deeper part of the project by, testing those structures with the drill. So that's kind of the high level on the property, but it's right in the right zip code, intersection of two major gold trends, right on the doorstep again of the world's leading miners. So we're in the right neighborhood.
Like who? So who's nearby?
So again, Barrick, Newmont, they have a joint venture in the Osgood, the Osgood Mountain Range. The two leading gold companies in the world. Hecla Mining is right near us. So those are really preeminent mining companies that are all within approximately 50 miles of us.
Right. Okay. So talk to me. So do you spend what money you have now and focus on one single asset, raise some more money, see where you get to? I mean, how do you go about? You're a finance guy, right? You've heard these junior mining stories come into you lots of times, and some of them make it, some of them don't. How do you optimize your ability to make it, to not just be another also ran?
Well, it's risk management, capital management, and positioning of the assets. So just in terms of what we have coming up on this asset, we have 4 drill holes completed. We're completing a 5th and a 6th, and then that news will be out in the next several months or less. And then we have another program on another 12 holes that we're planning this year. So good news flow there. Again, financed through those milestones. One of the big differentiators as well on this project is we're partnered with a multi-billion-dollar family. I won't name the name, but this is an extremely well-connected, well-financed company or, family. They're bigger than many companies, multi-billion-dollar family. And they have a geologic expertise and, a particular interest in gold right now. So we partnered with them, the original holders of the asset that, secured this through their relationships and are very excited about this as well. So we're at the table with, excellent partner and, really working with them. And I think that's a differentiator here as well. The other aspect,
is it a secret who they are, or was that public knowledge?
It's not public knowledge. They prefer to keep someone private, but they are a multi-billion-dollar U.S. family. They've, not given us the permission to disclose, so we'll respect that. But, fair to say that they are very well known across industries.
Okay, fine. So talk to me about this news flow coming out, because that's important. At some point, you're going to have to come back into market. So what are you expecting to have to tell the market to be able to retain their interest, to be able to raise capital going forward? It can't just be on the back of a good precious metal market, right?
Well, certainly having a market develop doesn't help or doesn't hurt. Pardon me. But, really what we're looking to show with these drill results is that we have an epithermal system present within the property and really, again, advancing that geologic thesis with, what we're looking for is good grade, good continuity. We have that in the historic results where there's, even bonanza grade, so greater than 31 grams per ton, troy ounces, 31 grams per ton of rock. And the results will really look to substantiate the historic work that's been done, as well as our thesis at depth that, that's really where the bulk of this deposit lays. So that's what we'll be looking to advance with the news flow that we have coming here.
So tell me about this historic stuff. You mentioned the historic data a few times now, and that's obviously given you confidence, encouraged you to go with this asset. So what exactly did it tell you?
Well, it told us that there's the very high potential for an epithermal deposit here. Looking at the historic assays, the composition of the rock, the fact that epithermal deposits will generally have anomalous gold and sometimes encounter grade in the shallow parts of the project, so less than 200 meters, and that's everything that we're seeing here out of the historic results, including some bonanza grade intercepts. Even at surface, these structures have reached surface and disseminated gold across the property where, historically prospectors have been, getting nuggets up to 9 ounces gold right at surface. So all the indications are there that there's a significant system within this property that's been untapped. A lot of the work was, done back in the 80s and 90s. Really before a lot of the geologic models that we're applying today were fully developed and understood. So we're taking the historic work and the indications from that historic work, drilling, et cetera, and, really rethinking that in a modern context. And that's where we believe that we deliver significant value, led by Mark and, the technical consultants that we have, where again, Mark's very excited about the project and is a direct analog to the work that he's previously done. So we're aligned across the team on that strategy and vision.
Right. So let's be clear about what we're getting into here. I'm looking at these sort of the grades. They're sort of at the lower end, the odd high grade component, but mostly kind of a bulk type plays. Is that what we're looking at here? Is it sort of typical of your Nevada type gold project?
Well, so the property has potential for two styles of mineralization, epithermal style as well as Carlin. The predominant difference being that, Carlin is generally lower grade bulk ton, and epithermal is generally lower tonnage and higher grade. So the initial work that we've done on the project and looking at the historic data and certainly what we're seeing in the geophysics and, the rock that we're pulling out here is, leaning towards the epithermal style model. Where, again, lower ton and much higher grade generally found at depth. So that's really what we're targeting. We're targeting grade here on the gold.
Okay. Talk to me about how much money you put into this thing. How much do you believe in this?
Myself, I'm probably about $200,000 invested into this, which, $200,000 for me is real money. Other members of the management team, Sid Himmel's in for about $500,000 into this. So we're real money. We're not working for our salaries here. We're working for our equity and the vision that this company is going to be much more in share price and market cap as we advance our business development and exploration plan. So we are very much, aligned with investors on that basis, holding over 25% of the company amongst the insiders.
Okay, that's interesting. So when you say you say you're aligned, all CEOs go, we are aligned in this thing. So it's a meaningful amount of money for you. I get that. But you're also a finance guy. You and Sydney are both finance guys, right? You understand how this game is played. So how do you manage this going forward in terms of your capital structure, share allocation, dilution, all of those wonderful things that you've got to take care of? You confident about your ability to manage that?
Well, we certainly, if past performance is an indication of future performance, then definitively the answer is yes. The previous companies that we've been involved with, we've created significant market cap. We've raised significant amounts of capital in the last 5 years. Myself personally, I've been involved in probably $250 million worth of financings as a board member, executive, and advisor. I've created at, peak market cap about $1.6 billion worth of market capitalization over the last 5 years. Again, peak market cap. So we're very experienced in building liquidity, price appreciation, and ultimately, financing, whether it's, private placements to get companies going, like what we did on the initial offering here as part of the Go Public, or, leading into marketed deals, bought deals with investment banks where we have relationships, not only with the institutional and retail investors, but with, the market makers, the investment banks, trading desk salespeople, investment bankers, research analysts, whereas we're advancing this company. It's not like we're making new relationships. We're, bringing in the relationships that we've established over many, many years, people that know us, people that trust us, people that have made money with us, and really leveraging those relationships to create value for this company from a capital markets and financial perspective. So it's really a matter of, positioning and completing what you have in terms of capital today and what you've represented to investors, both with what you have and what you plan to have, executing on a business strategy, and, building the confidence of those investors on a new venture where that capital has come from and where those relationships have been solidified historically across multiple corporations.
Where did you find the asset? Where did Hot Springs come from?
Hot Springs came from, again, a very long-term business relationship of Sydney. He worked on the sales desk with the gentleman at TD Securities. They had raised significant amounts of capital for, even the likes of Barrick when Barrick Gold was first getting started in Nevada going back to the 80s. They were part of the financings for that, and, obviously kept in touch, have a good relationship, share ideas. And this asset came to us through that individual. So, an individual that we've known for many, many years. that we had a high degree of confidence in his relationships and professionalism that made the introduction to the family in the U.S. And then, the family obviously due diligence our background, looked at who we are, what our track record is, what our expertise is, and, came to the conclusion that this is a group that we can partner with on advancing this asset.
Okay. What was that partnership look like?
So we fulfilled the initial part of the partnership. We spent approximately $1 million Canadian to earn in for 50% of the asset. That money went to the ground, not to people's pockets, which is very important. We look at the capital that we have as, an elements, of course, of, mine the market, but, mine the ground at the same time. So, putting that money on the joint venture into the ground to generate results to share with the market, and then, working with, individuals such as yourself to, really communicate what the milestones are going to be and, what the structure is and the like. And, ultimately look to have that culminate in price appreciation and liquidity. The market will, in my opinion, come back here. And, as capital is being spent and results being produced, I believe that the market will recognize that value more so than it has in the near term, or in the, the recent past.
Okay. And just back on that question of focus and attention as to where you spend your capital. Are you looking at other assets? What are your avenues to find other assets when you're in the position to do something about it?
So one of the great things about this team is we have, again, relationships globally. We talked about the sourcing of our initial asset here, which we're very excited about. But we have really relationships spanning the globe and in the Americas, from, the top of Alaska down to the bottom of Argentina. I mentioned I'm in Latin America right now, so a lot of relationships down here, but we're really focused on, where the eagle flies, if you would. So, North America is certainly a spot where we see a lot of potential. We are looking at assets in jurisdictions that, again, have the geologic prospectivity. The metals have to be there in order for it to be exciting, but also areas where you can operate. You can have, a reasonable assurance around the permitting process, the environmental, the drill permits, ability to, ultimately construct and monetize on these resources. So it's a combination of geologic prospectivity as well as, ease of operation. The Fraser Institute came out with an excellent report on that. Nevada was actually the #1 jurisdiction. But when we look down that list, we're really using that to guide us in terms of what we want to add into the company going forward. We're obviously focused on precious metals, gold, but, if something in silver came up, that would be, particularly interesting as well, given kind of the market dynamics on silver, its applications as an energy metal. So that's really what we're focused on. We're focused on good partners in good jurisdictions with, quality assets, with there's, historic results. We're focused on grade. We want to see good grade opportunities. We believe that the market really responds to grade at this point in the cycle. So that's really what's guiding us. And, again, making great progress in that respect on a number of assets under review here, where, we've looked at, since this company's, the concept of this company and, the advancement of this concept has come to, fruition. We've looked at, probably 40 or 50 assets, if not more. So we really have a pipeline of people that show us opportunities, and, we do a good deep dive, both financially in terms of budget, and then, ultimately prospectivity and operating needs within the jurisdiction.
But how do you, again, it comes back to differentiation, because everyone says that. I hear that every week from lots of people. But I want to know how you're coming at it. What's your brand? What's your sort of stamp of approval on a project look like? Because you've got to work towards a kind of so what moment, which is we're explorers, we may be developers, we're probably not miners, and that's fine. But we're going to build value through that process. But what would you say to the market and say, right, we're different because we come at it with a very unique view, and the so what moment is what?
So the so what moment, and, really, again, the differentiator, repeating myself a little bit, not to be a broken record, but it's really the team and the track record. It's the fact that we've done it before, we'll do it again. We've created a lot of value for shareholders in the market. So our team is a differentiator. And then the approach that we're taking across, the relationships and the broad review of assets and opportunities that we're seeing is definitively a differentiator. And that really comes from relationships that have been established. And then again, with the technical expertise to really find assets that, haven't been loved the way that they should, assets that, had great valuations in previous cycles. So really applying a model that is holistic, that I don't believe a lot of other miners that simply have a project that they're advancing in one respect to the other, really that they have the breadth, scope of expertise and relationships to do that. There's certainly groups that do. That's not a secret. There's, some really great professionals in the mining industry, but there's certainly a lot of groups out there that are, happy to meander along and poke holes as they see fit and, become stranded in the eyes of the capital markets and investors. And really our expertise is quite contrary to that, where, we have the track record, we have the expertise, and we are bringing it to fruition.
And you got ambition by the sounds of it.
We have ambition. We like to make money, and we like to have our investors make money. And, ultimately we're driven in that respect. Call us all workaholics, or, passionate, focused individuals that love what we do every day working in, capital markets and building companies. It's a gift. I love my job. I love my career. I literally love the people that I work with. I've known them for many, many years, and we're partners. And we're in it through the thick, the thin, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're aligned, and we've been through a lot together, and we will continue to do so. So it's very much an aligned team that we know each other well. We know our skill sets. We know our strengths, our weaknesses, everything like that. So we're a team.
Beautiful, Darren. Appreciate you coming in. New story. In fact, this is the newest story. You're one of the newest stories we've spoken to. I like that. I'm intrigued to see how you get on. I'm intrigued by the news flow that you're talking about. Stay in touch, pick up the phone. I'll be delighted to take your call.
Excellent. Appreciate it. And we will, we will follow the adage that we've always had is, tell people what you're going to do and then go do it. So I look forward to coming back to you and saying, hey, here's what we said we were going to do, and here's what we've done.